Cristo, and we're gonna chat about him. I wanted to do a summer TBR because I feel like monthly TBRs can be a little unattainable for my situation just because I'm in classes and whatnot. So I wanted to do a summer TBR so I can kind of like pick these books like one or two a month on top of like if I have other things that I want to read, so it's not a high pressure TBR. A lot of these books, as I was picking them out, ironically enough, were fantasy-esque, which is interesting because I haven't really been on a crazy fantasy kick. I think I've maybe read one or two here and there, but I really haven't spent much time looking into fantasy or reading it. I've just been really burnt out with the genre. Haven't felt like I've found a fantasy series that I've loved enough to start off this fantasy endeavor. I have started this, but I don't think I want to pick it up right at this moment. I do think I need a little more time because mentally I don't think I have the capacity for this book right now, but I know I will, especially in my near future. So that is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. It's the second book in the Poppy War trilogy, and it's so good. I read the first like 5%, I want to say, and I was enjoying it, but like I said, I just don't think I have the capacity for it because it is a pretty technical world and political system, and I usually read at night, so this is when I'm going to want to read when I am like awake in the day and have the brain space for it. So I'm really excited about that. I loved the first book. Definitely check the trigger warnings because the first book was so violent. I have never read a more violent book, in my opinion, besides the Bible. So got that going for this one. Highly recommend. Another book I'm currently reading, but I'm slowly working my way through, is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. This is a memoir. I was not aware it was a memoir when my mom gave it to me. It basically follows Caitlin. So she gets this job at a crematorium in California, and she is responsible for burning the bodies, I guess. I'm not sure if there's another, like a nicer way to put it, but that's what she does here. And it just goes through her experiences, and she also talks about different cultures and their view on death and like random facts about cremation and death things. So I've just been reading a little bit at a time because it is a memoir, so it's a little bit more dry, but it still is really funny. I think I'm like 6 or 8 chapters in so far. I still have like 200 pages. I'm like 50 pages in, but I'm really enjoying that at the moment as well. My first pick of the stack, I guess you could say, is going to be The Black Tulip by Alexandre Dumas. So this book is basically like a mini version of The Count of Monte Cristo, and it involves tulips, and it's basically this guy gets in prison, but he still wants to grow this really rare tulip, and I think he has help from the inside out, kind of. And since it's about flowers, it seemed like it would be like a fun summery themed-esque book. Yes, I realized after I read The Count of Monte Cristo that it's Dumas, not Dumas. And there was a lot of things that I was talking about in that video where I mispronounced them, so I apologize for that. But very excited about this one. It is my only classic. Well, no. I have 2 classics on my summer list, and I want this one to be my first since it is a little bit shorter, but we will see. You never know. I'm a huge mood reader. The next one is a series that I'm in no rush for, and it's a reread of a series, so I've been rereading the first book here and there for months already. Like I'll read like a chapter at a time, and that is Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. This is one of my comfort series. I have been obsessed with the movies and the books since I was a kid, and so it's just nice to have a book sometimes available that is low energy, low stakes, because you're already familiar and you can just enjoy the vibes. That is this series for me, and so I want to make a point to at least get through the first like 3 books by the end of this year. So if I could get through this one by the end of summer, I'd be pretty happy about that, because I really want to reread The Goblet of Fire and The Order of Phoenix, and then The Half-Blood Prince is my personal favorite, along with The Deathly Hallows. But yeah, I love this series. If you aren't aware, Harry finds out he's a wizard, and he goes to this really dope school, and he basically just always gets himself into trouble, and he fights his way out of it, and that's the gist of this series in a nutshell. There's also a guy named Voldemort, and he's not a chill dude. The next one is We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Haberlin. This is going to be a thriller. I received this from my mom, and I wanted to make sure I picked a diverse potential TBR because I'm trying to expand my horizons, you could say. But this one says, it's been a decade since Trumanelle Branson disappeared, leaving only a bloody handprint behind. Her pretty face still hangs like a watchful queen on the posters on the walls of the town Baptist church, the police station, and in the high school. And yeah, basically she goes missing. I don't want to read any more than that because I feel like it could be spoiled. Please pardon my cat. She's got the zoomies. she plays with the little light things that come in through the window, and I have the AC on. It's way too hot. It's like 90 degrees outside. Anyway, I'm excited about this. I don't read thrillers often, but I am excited to experiment with them because, like I said, I want to keep reading different things. I feel like when I enjoy something, I want to read 100 versions of it until I'm sick to death of it, and I'd rather just read a couple of them here and there and still enjoy the series or the genres and subgenres, things like that. So yeah, I definitely want to add a thriller mystery to my summer TBR because I think it would be a good filler book, especially in between some of these because there are a lot of fantasies. You know, I got a lot of things on here. Next, by Miss Otessa Moshfegh, I have Homesick for Another World. This will be my third book that I have read by her. I am slowly making my way through her backlog. My mom and I went to Barnes & Noble the other day, and this was one of the books that I picked out because I can't be stopped. The blurb says, Homesick for Another World will scorch you like a blowtorch. Technically, there's not really like a synopsis on the back, and I'm kind of intrigued by that because her writing is really peculiar. And if you haven't read a book by Miss Otessa, just know that it's not going to make sense and it's going to be weird, and you're probably going to end up with more questions than you started with, and you might even like question why you're reading it. But just know that like that's the whole point. You know what I mean? Death in Her Hands and My Year of Rest and Relaxation, both of those books were so meandering, and I can see why people wouldn't like that, but I loved it. I was like, this is hilarious. I'm having such a good time. It's weird, it's quirky, and I've just been really getting into authors that write literary fiction that don't have crazy plots. Like, I just like reading about kooky characters doing weird things or not doing anything at all, because that's cool too. So yeah, I've been experimenting with her writing. I've found that I loved it. She's definitely not for everyone, but I would highly recommend checking her books out if you like weird. Also, if you like Miss Otessa, you should check out Jen Beagin because their writing is like adjacent, I would say. Jen Beagin writes really weird characters, where she writes really odd characters. If there's a difference, but they're similar, you know what I mean? So, very excited about this one. This will probably be like a somewhat high priority as well since it is new, and I was really excited about this one. But my other books deserve love too. So it's really tricky stuff. Next, this I received for Christmas, and I've been eyeing it, waiting for the right time, and maybe this summer will be the right time. And it is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I know I've mentioned this in another video before of me talking about like books I've acquired, but 100 Years of Solitude tells the story of the rise and fall, the birth and death of the mythical town Macondo through the history of the Buendia family. And so I started reading this originally, and I just knew it wasn't the right time, but I knew that like when the time came, I would know. You just know sometimes. And I'm really hoping this summer is the time that I read this book because I see it on my shelf every day. I love the cover, and from what I've heard, I've yet to hear a bad thing about this book. I've heard this book is absolutely fantastic, and that's all I need, really. That's all I need to read a book, is that someone else enjoyed it somewhere. So yes, 100 Years of Solitude. I'm so excited for this one. Next, we have another fantasy, but it's more like a cottagecore kind of fantasy, and that is Apprentice to the Villain. And this one's by Hannah Nicole Mehrer. This is the second book. The first book was Assistant to the Villain. This is The Apprentice to the Villain, and the main FMC is Evie, and I don't really remember what happened because I read the first book probably almost 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this one came out a fair amount later, but I'm so excited for this one because the first one was so funny between the MMC and the FMC, and I'm pretty sure it's just gonna pick up where it left off. And I think she got kidnapped or he got kidnapped, I can't remember, but the thing says, or the synopsis says, Evie Sage has never been happier to be the assistant to the villain. Who would have thought that working for an outrageously handsome evil overlord would be so rewarding? And I don't want to spoil anything else, but I hope this book makes me laugh as much as the first one did, because this book, well, Assistant to the Villain, had me cracking up. Like, he was so obsessed with her, but he was so evil that he was like, how dare I have these thoughts? Like, that's literally the only thing I remember. And I think she had a crappy sister. I can't wait. I feel like this will be a perfect filler book as well, in between like a heavier book, just because it's kind of a silly, goofy time, and there is a plot, but it's pretty, I don't know, I wouldn't say low stakes, but it feels like it because it's just funny. So hopefully this one's just as funny, but we will see. It'll probably be in a reading vlog just because I am really excited about this one. I guess I'm excited about all of these, don't judge me. One is one that my mom has been telling me I need to read, and this is another one that's in a different genre that I'm not normally reading, and it's called My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, I believe. The blurb is, high school sophomores Abby and Gretchen have been best friends since 4th grade, but after an evening of skinny dipping goes disastrously wrong, Gretchen begins to act different. She's moody, she's irritable, and bizarre incidences keep happening whenever she's nearby. I don't know, it's giving 80s. My mom grew up in the 80s, and she was like absolutely obsessed with this book when she read it. So I'm gonna give this one a try. It still smells like her. All these books that I received from my mom smell like her, and not in a creepy way, in like a wholesome way, but it's delicious. It just reminds me of her, and I love it. So yeah, My Best Friend's Exorcism, mostly because it's a cute cover and because my mom said so, and you can't not listen to your mom. So the next one, also courtesy of Mi Madre, is Shield of Sparrows by Devoney Perry. We are actually going to do a reading club book. Like, this is our book club pick between my mom, my older sister, and I. And I know Devoney Perry has written other books, right? But I have never read the books, nor can I recall what the books are called. But I've heard this one's insane and really good. Also, absolutely stunning. Are you kidding me? Gorgeous. And just wait, there's more. The front. And then, hold up. Absolutely insane end pages. Same, front and back. So gorgeous. So the synopsis is, long ago, the gods unleashed monsters upon the 5 kingdoms of Kalandra to remind us that humans are insignificant, that we must pray to the gods for mercy throughout our fragile, fleeting lives. I didn't need a deity to remind me that I was powerless. Being a princess had never been more than a performance. 23 years of empty titles and hollow traditions. My sister revels in the spectacle, basking in the attention and flawlessly playing her part. I was never asked to be a part of the charade. There's more to it, but I only like reading half the synopsis, and if it gets me in the first half, I'll probably like it, so you don't get the second half either. But yeah, we're waiting for my sister to get this one in the mail, and then we're gonna read this, so we'll probably read it, was like mid-June, I would say, is when we're about to start this, because I have couple other books I want to read, my sister does as well, and my mom is reading a book and in classes right now. So this will probably be mid-June, early July that we will read this, and I will most likely make a reading vlog just because I am intrigued by Devoney Perry's writing. Like, I know the people that love her would ride or die for her, and I too would love to be a part of that club. So yeah. And then last but not least, I told you, like, this wasn't a crazy TBR. I just want it to be leisurely so it's not overwhelming and cripples me with anxiety. The last one is one that I've also had for quite some time, and it is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I know this revolves around the Dust Bowl era in like the Midwest, and yeah, in the mid-1900s in Texas. I don't want to spoil anything for myself just because I do prefer to go into Kristen Hanna's books blind, especially because they're like historical fictions, and I like to just meander through them. My older sister read this. She said she loved it. So that's all I needed. My mom sent me this like a year ago, and I just like haven't felt like it was the right time to read it. And just something about this summer feels like a good time to read this book. So it's also on there, and it's my only, well, no, I guess it's the second historical fiction, kind of, because 100 Years of Solitude is like historical fiction. This is too. So we got 2 historical fictions, we got like two or three romances, some literary fiction, classics. We got a thriller too. I never read thrillers, so I want to expand, and I want to read different things, and I hope that this summer TBR is successful, because my winter TBR sucked, and it sucked enough, as in I didn't read a single book except one, and it deterred me from making a spring one. But you know what? Summer is the time for motivation, it's the time for high spirits, so this is why I'm making a second one. And I hope this TBR is as successful as possible, and I probably will read at least half of them. If I can read half, I'll be happy. If not, we're just gonna pretend that it didn't happen. And if you have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any other recommendations, holla at your girl, because like I said, I'll read anything for the most part. And I hope you guys are getting started on your summer TBRs, because it feels like summer. It's 90 degrees out here in Georgia. I can't imagine what it'd be like in Texas right now, so I need to go. Okay, I've had way too much coffee, and there was sugar in it because I got it from a store today. I never get coffee out. I'm geeked. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I got so many books to choose from this summer, and yeah, I will see you guys later.